all the platforms. So welcome, 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 welcome. Let's let some of these people in. All right. Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning. And we are, it feels like a Tuesday morning. Does it feel like a Tuesday morning for you? Or is it a Wednesday morning for you? Where are you in the world? All right, let's get started. Let's get started. Energy feels slow this morning. But Mercedes up. She's up. Where is everyone else? Who's watching on Rumbus? I can see somebody else there. Say g'day. Let me know I'm not on my own. I feel on my own. I actually woke up feeling that I haven't seen my family since November. Since November. And that was when I forced a visit to visit my brother and my grandmother and my mother, and I saw my daughters and my nieces. I saw a bunch of my family, and it's interesting. I mean, we could go oh ho hum. So this is going to be a teaching, I think, because who thinks I don't have a care in the world? You know, I just think sometimes people, if you're a teacher out there, or if you're a coach or a mentor, who looks after you? Right? Or if you're a mother or a matriarch, who looks after you? Who thinks about you? Oh, it's Kate. Hey, Kate. Kate's on Facebook. Who looks after you? Not that they have to, but if there isn't anybody checking in with you, who looks after you? Do you look after you? Okay, here's where we're going. Just gotta let it go, right? Just gotta let it go. Who looks after you? Because all the work, all the programs, all the lives, all of this is about being connected to you, being connected to yourself. So my little hint for those that do trance with me, my eyes are watering. And that's an indication of spirit for me. When I have water just out the corner of my eyes. Interesting. So I woke up with so many visions, and my practice now in the mornings, I have a long morning practice. However, I'm going to share a little bit with you because I wonder whether it will be helpful for you. That's all I'm going to say. I don't think, I don't know, I don't hope, I don't wish. I'm curious whether this will be helpful for you. I wake up, and sometimes when I'm connecting, or whether I'm, I've got different practices, but I see a lot, and I never used to, but I see very quickly, and sometimes it's intensely. It's a lot. Today, it was all this stuff about the 50s vehicles, leather couches. Well, they weren't really leather. That's when synthetic stuff started to come in, right? And there was, so like what I'm seeing, it's almost like I'm seeing a past life intricately, hairdos, fabrics of furniture, light fittings, the fashions, the design, the smells, the customs, the way of being in particular, in Western countries. Anyway, you're thinking, what on earth has this got to do with circle and us and whatnot? Are you thinking that? Are you? Put it in the chat. Are you thinking that? Hang on a minute. I'm still here. Are you thinking, what on earth is she on about? Well, if you get, some of you want to see, how many of you have spent a lot of time, money, effort, I don't know what else, anything else, to see? You're like, I just want to see. How many of you can see, and how many of you can remember when you didn't see, right? And how many of you are still longing to see? Seeing was the last of my sensory systems, my dormant sensory system, to come on board. And when I became what's called a seer, it's much more advanced than the general activation of, the ajna or agna or agni or the third eye or whatever you want to call it. And so I'm just really looking at the chat on Facebook. Thanks, Kate. So we're seeing. Now, a friend of mine, Titania, in fact, Titania Darlin, she used to say to me, her mum's Donna Eden, and she would say, she never wanted to see like that. She never wanted to work with people because of the sensory system. When we get very sensitive, we smell everything, we see everything. We taste, well, I do, I taste and smell everything, I hear everything. I've been having a lot of, so where we're going today is sensory system, because I'm going to share direct experience of how, when things are really moving, that our sensory system can get hyper sensitive. And that's the norm when you're going into your awakening and ascension, right? That's the norm. All humans, as we're evolving, are going to become more sensitive. Some of you will have a fear around that, and my story today probably isn't helping, but it will when I get to the point. And the point of it all is that we have these sensitivities, right? That's why I'm tethered, with for the sound. I just will not. I will not use these anymore. Not because of what the science says, although if you don't know the science, go and read it. Because I feel what it does to my head, my brain, my ears. And sometimes the whole side of my face will go numb after just having one in. So you never saw me with two in, but even with one. So just be aware where you're sensitive to. It doesn't mean it's not happening. It just means you can't feel it. So anyway, there's a little contemplation for you. Same with everything you ingest. You may not feel it impacting, right? And the impact could be positive or negative or anything in between. But I'm a sensitive. I've always been the canary in the coal mine. So I'm sharing the canary in the coal mine. You can even hear my voice. Can you hear my voice? It's a bit crackly. I'm ultra sensitive today. I woke up ultra sensitive. It's not good, bad, indifferent. It just is. There's a lot going on. There always is. It's just sometimes we're a little bit more sensitive than others. So my sensitivity is really, has been for months now. I'm just deciding today to share it because that's what's coming in. So this morning, one-pointed technique. Now, a one-pointed technique is something like taking focus on one of these stars or maybe the center of this circle. my my connection painting, or even my head, or point on the wall, or the core point, inside the head. For those of you that know that practice, or a yantra or something like that. But when you are being distracted from that point, from that, I guess that practice, it may be through visions, it may be through sounds, it may be through all this other sensory stuff that you'll go, oh, wow, I saw something. Okay. That's what I used to do when I'd be doing energy medicine, like on, in real life. This is how it all started. I was just doing, I worked on people all the time. I was doing all sorts of modalities, energy work and whatnot. And as I was working on them, I'd see the energy, the colors of the energy around my arms and hands. And I'd be working on some of that. I'd be face down on the massage table and I'd be like, whoa, right. But I'd keep going, because it's a distraction. So even though it was awe-inspiring, I remember when I first saw the red and the blue, right, the mother and the father within myself, right, anyway, that's a whole nother story. But these amazing visions and experiences and whatnot, they're distraction. So you're working to build your sensory system or your energetic systems and your relationship to your physical body and your soul to spirit. And I guess what this is about, if I'm looking at it, because this is one of those, it's just coming in, so I'm sharing it, and little me's going, what is the point of this story? Why are you sharing this? Why are we sharing this? Because we can go off to the sides and navigate and be curious about all of these different ways of knowing. And those of you that are watching on Zoom and the ones that I can see on Facebook, know that I teach that too. I teach it from a point of it's showing you, and I was talking about this, I was reflecting on why I'm doing this next program. So I'm just sharing, right? And I don't know what you're going to be able to take from this. I'm just trusting that there'll be something. So why I constantly self-reflect. I'm not, it's called critical self-reflection, okay? Reflective praxis. I live that. Critical. Now that's not being critical. It's a way. It's a theory, a sociological way of being, right? Where you look at what you're doing in every moment and reflect on it, right? To how could I refine that? And so those of you that know me as a teacher know that I'm always talking about refine, 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 refine. It's not about banging on yourself that you could have done better. That's not critical reflection. Critical reflection is really looking at it with that neutrality and going, how could I get that across to somebody even more powerful so that they get that benefit? Or if I'm to do a program, this has been my thought for a while now. I usually say, show me the ways to make it more profound so that those going through feel, know, sense, are more than what they were before they came. Those sorts of things, like refinement. It's not about judgment. Do you see that? There's a very big difference. It's about discerning. Oh, okay. Now, that even now, after here, and even while I'm in it, I'm doing it constantly. It never stops. It's like, okay, there's this voice coming through me and it's talking about this. Now, are we to do circle in grace? Well, yes. Maybe this is your circle in grace today. Maybe if the point comes through profoundly. How you do your circle from now on will be just out of the water, out of the park, however you want to language that, right? Refinement, critical reflection. How could I have done that piece a little bit more refined? Was I connected fully when I went that way? Was I listening? Did I push my divine intuition aside because I was worried that we weren't doing circle? These sorts of things. Okay. I don't have thought. Sounds bizarre, but I don't have thought like the general public. My mind is still. Critical reflection isn't thinking thought. Do you see? I'm watching myselves, as we speak. And all of the aspects of me are here, watching, reflecting, conversing. Sounds like multiple personality or something, but and I've asked about that. I've been checked out by all sorts of people. I've had my brain tested. I've had all my abilities tested. How scalar or longitudinal wave works, how my hands work, right? I've had all that tested. In fact, both my hands work the same. I have AC and DC charge coming out both hands, which is fairly rare, apparently, so they tell me. Usually someone will have one. So I guess I'm ambidextrous in my energetics as well, because I can write with both hands as well. But so what I'm saying is, you may feel like you've lost the plot. You're off the planet. You are crazy. I watched a movie the other night, and he came across very unwell. He was talking to God and all sorts of stuff, right? But he said something like, you gotta be crazy, you gotta act crazy, you gotta know crazy to sort of be. It's like getting out of the boxes, getting out of the restraints. And that stuck with me because he really did come across like off the charts. And I'm like, whoa, I wonder if people see us like that. But anyway, yeah, he was a very interesting man. But he was talking and seeing and having hallucinations, right? And I was wondering, okay, was he having hallucinations because of his health? Or was he really having apparitions? Or was he, what was going on there? So that would have been interesting to have him, really have that looked at, rather than, we just say, oh, he's a madman because he's having all these ideas and visions and being told by God to do things, all of that sort of stuff. Because some of us, and some of you watching this, do have that guidance where, you to move forward in something or whatnot. So back to my story of waking up and having all these visions, which is the norm, but my practice now is to not relate with them, I guess. So, because I always see stuff. So it's like one-pointed, like my practice of my one point, right? So even as I'm speaking, can you hold that one point? That's your practice. So my practice every single morning. Like I wake up and I'm bombarded by information. Some of you will too. So I hope this will be helpful to know that as you open up, you are the antenna for all the data. And this is why we have, I was going to say, sheaths or veils or blankets or protect, whatever you want to call that, right? If we were able to be with that beloved emanation, the emanator, directly, it would burn us up. There's so much, right? So there is a parenting aspect of protection of the child in a way. So as you wake up spiritually, those veils, you're able to see, feel, sense, know, taste. You are the instrument. And I guess there's both sides of that. There's all sides of that, right? It's not good, it's not bad, it's not. I used to say it's a blessing and a curse. When I was young, I would say it's a blessing and a curse, because that's how I saw it. It was one or the other. And some of you know that as we're moving through our levels of our return, especially in the teachings around the divine feminine, is that there are these levels where it is one or the other. It's good or it's bad. That's all we can see. And it's a way for you to not judge but discern where you're at and be okay with it, right? Is something just pain or just pleasure? Is it good? It can only be good, or it's bad. Do you see? That's level one. That's where majority of humans are. Well, I don't know all humans, so it's a generalization, right? The next level, and you've heard me say this before, it's just a refresher for some of you. The next level is where the polarity's there. It's all there. But you still will sit in one or the other, but you have an understanding that the other side is there. And if you could just flick it over, right? Those of you that were on the call the other day, I was talking about, I've actually got it here, the figure eight, or the infinity, the other side's there, but you're over here right now. And at some point you'll get to there, but you'll still know that over here's there. Does that make sense? It's like you know that. So that's level 2. Level 3 is where you sit in all of it, and you know all of it. You feel all of it, and you are all of it, right? So in your pain, there is pleasure, and in your pleasure, there is pain. It's probably I'm going to refine that at some point and have better language for it. A lot of this, years ago, I put my goal down to find language to what I experience, to keep refining the language so that I can express it, so other people can, not so, because my best stories I haven't told yet. My best stories, I was talking about it, my best stories I haven't told yet, because I still don't know how to language them. It's like when you're trying to explain something, there's just no language for it, so why bother? I don't. So, and I do believe that not everything is for it, to be shared with everybody. It's like being with a lover. You don't share all the intricate details of that relationship. My relationship with the beloved is like that. I don't need to share, but there are some stories, direct experiences that are helpful when you're on that path to know. And this is my life. This is our life. So cooking dinner, we're talking about and reflecting and refining, right? I've got paper here that, yesterday I was having these massive ahas on a teaching that that I'm really excited about, because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 different teachings come together in a whole nother teaching from the past. I mean, I can sort of show you. I guess you probably won't see much of it anyway. But it's about bringing it all together. It's all these different teachings, right? That's just how I work. It's like, oh my goodness, that's how that works, and that crosses with that one, and that crosses with that one. Oh, and now we can bring that piece in, and wow, whoa, right? So Sai is the next level of our understanding. The next level of those of you that went through Vulva. Not that it means you have to have done anything else. It means that I've refined enough, I'm mature enough in teaching and understanding what's coming through, that there's a whole nother way. It's like we're in a whole nother, like what I said, that third level. Let me read this. There's some similar to what happened to me after Saturday. Loads of aha moments. Awesome. Because you know what? Because on Saturday, you know, I turned up to that, so I've got to be fully transparent. I always am, but you know, just letting you know this is vulnerable. I'm going to share this because I feel that it will help somebody sometime. Sometimes when I'm showing up, I'm preparing something, or I'm, you know, not so much these, because I just come on and go, okay, what's coming in? Okay, share, or we do circle or whatnot. But when I'm doing like a 3 hour or a 2 hour, you know, when I'm doing a class or a session or something, there is a format. There is a, you know, it might be something like that. It might just be my scribbles, but you know, there's still a lesson plan, so to speak, right? You know, this is one I'll show you quick, because I was working on that last night, because some of you signed up for Sai and we start next week. So I'm refining. I've already got it all done. You should see it. It's awesome. Like how I work, I'm old school. I don't work on computers. I've got a board over there, like just cardboard, because my stick boards and my whiteboards aren't big enough. I've got this from one of my huge canvases, and I've got this yellow paper, and they're my stick-it pads, right? And I'm writing, and I stick them all over the wall, and it's just this whole wall, because you've got to understand, it's not just information. It's like how this piece links to this piece, links to this piece, and then how the next class has to build on. Do you understand? It's like doing a massive jigsaw puzzle, but the mechanism is there, but the what would you say? It's like every process has to be linked specifically to what we're learning and how we're learning. So the soul body, what are the, you know, and then the, you know, all the different minds and whatnot. So anyway, where was I going with that? We keep going back to the morning. So that one point, right? Everything, all of what I've just told you comes back to that one point, because I'm saying, all right, I turn up on Saturday and I'm like, is this, I felt myself that there was no big moment, right? Do you see what I mean? Because I was strategic in what needed to come first, second, third, for the information at that level to be received. So there's a part of me that would rather just channel and be like, right? And just blow you all away with that divine transmission. So Saturday was this dance that I would let it in as I was going through the structure of, okay, this part, then this part, then this part. So I'm not sure if this is helpful for anybody, but I turned up going, you know, there's no big like crescendo type thing, right? So feedback, so thank you all for the feedback, because you got to understand, I've been teaching this stuff for so long that I think you all know it. I just have this, you know, that's why it's really hard for me to teach things second and third time, because I go, it's out there in the field now. I need to move on. However, coming back and going, well, only like 30 people saw that. So what about the rest of the billions of people in the world that might need to want that, right? So this is where, so you see how that's a part of me that if I listen to too much, like, yes, we want to keep moving along. For those of you that are at those levels, but there's many that are just woken up. There's many that have just opened their eyes and they're still laying in bed. They're not even out of bed yet, so to speak, spiritually. There's more, but the main 7 stages of awakening. Some of you, well, not necessarily, the ones I can see, you're very much ahead of that, but some of you will come across this and you've just opened your eyes and you're still laying in bed. But before that, you were comatose. You were alive, you were conscious, but you weren't your consciousness wasn't embodied, and you were making, you know the difference between like medical consciousness and spiritual consciousness, right? Your eyes closed, like in a coma, going through life like that. And so, some of you may be sitting up in bed, eyes open, awake, but you haven't taken a step yet. Some of you may be eyes open in your pajamas still, or naked, however you sleep, in your nightie, whatever, standing up, but you don't know how to take the step yet. Some of you are taking steps, but you're not running yet. Some of you are running, but you're not, right? And it goes on. These are stages. These are metaphor for the stages of development, the stages of awakening and ascension. So coming back and going, all right, well, the people I can see on the screen might be more advanced, but what I'm sharing now is a whole nother perspective, a whole nother way. Like I said, these 4 or 5 teachings here pulled into one for the impact of where we're at now on the planet, in the world, right? How humanity's grown, evolved to be able to receive the energy and it's like the vessel. I just saw a chalice then, but the vessel, so the body, right? If we're pouring into the body and the body's not strong, it's going to stretch and leak. It's like in the Bible, apparently. I saw this one little quote about what was it now? Or maybe it wasn't in the, but it was about the wine, because my family made wine on both sides, right? So I have a lot of metaphor about wine, being in the wine barrel. Some of you have heard that, like going deep into the wine barrel, into darkness, okay, and maturing. So in a nutshell, but there's a quote from the Bible that says something about pouring new wine into an old wine bag. And I was like, huh. And it has something to do with, when the skin stretches and it leaks out, or something like that. Anyway, my point being, if your container's not strong, I can pour into you, and I do, constantly pouring in. How much can you hold? Or I pour in, and it's so much you feel uncomfortable. Even now, I'm just talking, but I'm pouring in energetically. So how much can you hold? How much can you receive? Just contemplating that. Some people go to sleep. Some people go to sleep. It's okay. If you go to sleep when you're doing meditation, or whether you're doing a process, or whether you're reading a book that may have information in it that as you read, you're releasing the energy. Did you know that? The words, the black on the paper, or whatever color it is, but the black on the paper is the light enclosed. When you speak it, when you read it, you're releasing. And every time you read it, you're releasing more light. It's the word. It's the light enclosed. So is when I speak. It's the light enclosed. It's transmission. When there's prana in, right? When the person's connected and they're speaking or writing or texting. I was actually going over something last night. I'm so excited about next week. Anyway, if you want to come along, just message me and we'll see how we can work it out. But I was going through and I was looking at smell. I don't want to ruin it for those of you that are coming, but smell and how you can smell. So just we're going to do a little practice. Smell your wrist. Just really smell yourself. Right? Do you like how you smell? Like really, really think about it. Is there, you may have perfumes or something on, but find a place that you don't and just smell yourself, right? Do you like how you smell? If you're game, let me know. Just put a Y in the chats, like on Instagram or in Facebook or on, just put a Y or an N. And this is to do with soul, right? It's to do with soul. We all smell different. There is a connection. One day I will do relationship stuff, but because this all relates to relationships. But this is to do with the relationship with ourselves. So, if you're not particularly happy with or drawn to that smell, it's like I really like the way I smell, but you recently got out of the shower. No, that's good. Oh, soap. Yeah. Well, take this. So some of you are saying yes, not really, and one's not fair because she recently got out of the shower. But even when you've just come from a run, does your BO smell okay to you? Now, there's going to be times of the month for women, even if menopausal women, because the hormones are still, there. It's hormonal, right? So there's different smells at different times. So just notice that, because there's some times that I like my smell better than other times. But in a nutshell, because this is a full teaching, so I don't want to ruin it for those that are, paying the bucks for it. But this is related to the soul self, your connection to your soul. Now, when we don't like ourselves, when we don't love ourselves, right, we're not wanting to connect to ourselves. So those of you that have said, yeah, I'm okay, you don't have to love it, but I'm okay with how I smell, right, with my smell. And around the wrist is a good place. Unless you put perfume there, then, I don't like perfume. It hurts my nose, but I'm a sensitive. So there you go. I don't tend to wear a lot of stuff, even makeup, and I never get my nails and stuff done because it's all toxins to me. However, I'm not against it. I'm just, listening to my body. No, I'm not going to go into the next part because that's for you next week, right? But just for those to get a little teaching today, when you're not connected to yourself, it's really hard to like or even love yourself, okay? So that smelling and just having that connection to the smell can be the start. For those of you, even if you don't like your smell, you may love yourself and not like your smell, but generally, it's something to consider. Are you hard on yourself? Does your self-talk criticize? Would you speak to yourself? Would you speak to others as you speak to yourself? Those sorts of things. It'll give you an indication of how you really do like yourself. I'm not even going to say love, because there's very few people on this planet that really love themselves. A lot of the love is that I love how I look, or how I, it's all ephemeral. I'm talking about infinite. Do you love yourself infinitely? Do you even know who you are to be able to do that? So you see how it all relates. And if I bring it all the way back to when I woke up this morning and the distraction, do I love myself enough to not get caught in the distraction and to just have that intimacy with that one point? Right? And for Instagram, there you go, that one point. To be able to stay one pointed, to be able to stay in that connection when there's all this imagery, and sometimes you might hear things, or see things, or smell things, or taste things, or feel them in your body, or sense them, or have a knowing, or whatever. It's like, okay, yep, I see you, come back. Yep, I see you, come back. And then be able to walk through the world like that. I see you, bird, beautiful sunset, person who's yelling at me. I see you. I'm one pointed. Neutrality. It's not that you're not experiencing it, it's that you're not distracted. You're not distracted. So one of my practices every morning, because I have, so it's like spirit waits for me to wake up, because I have put in, some of you know that did intuitive studies with me. Some of you know that this is a way that I am in complete directorship of even the spirit world around. I say, okay, no, I'm going to bed now. Do not disturb me. Do not come in. Do not wake me until this time. And you'll know that, I used to say, till the morning, and then it'd be like 3 or 4 a.m. Or like if I got up to go to the toilet, it'd be like, and because she's awake, right? No. This is the time. And then when you do come in, it's at my direction. I am the director of my reality. I am the director of my life. I am in full directorship. Okay, that's so you can use that if you want to. Are you in full directorship? So go through your world. Am I in full directorship of this? I just put out a reel. Oh no, I haven't put it out. I made it yesterday, but it's about 100% responsibility. Whether you enjoy what's happening in your life or not, it's a similar thing. So continue to smell yourself and just notice how that happens. There's extensions of that. This is just the one little point. The one little point. To have that refinement of your abilities, of your conscious intent, right? Or you can go through life just being pulled in every direction, and particularly as you start to open up and get, more in your power, more leadership, more influence in your life, on your life, as your life, right? You're R-ing, you're at you're reaching your potential, the possibility of who and what you can be as a human here on this earth, right? It takes practice. It's constant practice. The practices shift and change as you do, right? But ultimately it comes back to that one point, that connection, however you want to see that, bringing it back. And actually, there's all different ways of doing that. Activating all of the system, but still staying. It's like heaven and earth, the connection between heaven and earth, being so out there and in there at the same time, being so expansive and soul embodied at the same time. It's such a blast. There you go. If I'm going to give you anything, but you know, it's low key teaching. But to be able to walk around in the world so expanded, so blissful, and so in your body and here in the hell realms, so to speak, at the same time. Do you see? Like love and fear. Fear of love. At the same time. You're all of it. But what we do is we move from one to the other. I'm saying it is possible. It is possible. Some of you have had glimpses of it through the trainings. Some of you may, I'm not sure exactly who's on here. I can see a few people, but there's other ones I'm not looking at, platforms, that are able to, like, are in that second stage where they know there's the love and fear. Love and fear is purely just love and fear. It has no impact. It is just that. It's then what you make of that creates your suffering. And that goes into fear of love, fear of fear. That's the suffering. And then the shadow of the fears of fear and the fear of love is, you know, the spiraling into the depth of the darkness, and you just keep going into a fear, and you can't get out of it. There's so many fears. When you wake up in the morning and you feel like crap, you go, there's a fear in the system. Feel it, cry it, whatever is happening. You can bring your process and bawling your eyes out. I can remember, actually, it was only a few years ago. I was doing yoga. I was going through a 2.5 hour sadhana. Anyway, something kept coming in. I won't go into depth because it's very personal, but it was actually a fear around love, not a fear around fear. And it wasn't anything to do with a relationship, like a love relationship. It was an extended sort of family thing, but not of my family. Anyway, it's complex. But that person kept coming in. And what they were showing me was a different type of love. And my body was trying to process it while I was doing this deep work, you know, early in the morning. And as I was doing the Kriya, I couldn't stop crying. And when I put my head down, like a child's pose type thing, I was sobbing uncontrollably. This is the difference. So I'm being very vulnerable today. I want you to know, it's like there's a urgency for me to get something like this across. When you have something like that, or, you know, a sadness or a sorrow, and you go, oh no, that's bad, and you try to get out of it, don't you? Do you? I'm asking. I don't know. What I've seen as a trauma therapist and working in out-of-home care, and you know, like, people in pain, they're desperate to get out of it. Okay? And what I'm demonstrating is that it's not that I don't have pain, right? Emotional pain. I am that. I am it all. We are. But it's not bad to me. It's not a fear. It's not like, oh my God, I got to get out of this. I went deep into that. And I do. But this one in particular was interesting because I was doing yoga. And usually yoga can is you bring you out, it can make you feel, move it through and all the rest of it. Now, it was doing that, but it was such an aha that the release was so big. I was processing it on multiple levels. It was all mother stuff. It was my mother-in-law, me as a mother, all the divine mother. Like, it was all mother stuff, like deep, deep mother wounds. And I know I've been shown, and I know I'm talking about myself a lot, but I'm doing this as a teaching so that you can see, hopefully, I mean, if you're here, yourself in me. I am you, and you are me. We are aspects of each other. So I hold, and I've been shown this, I've been told it nearly my whole life. When I was pregnant with my daughter, so young, and I was told, I heard. So am I mad, or was I just guided? And I listened from very young that I was to have that child. And every single person on the planet tried to take that child from me. I was locked up. I was put in a home. I was taken to the hospital. When I birthed that child, they took her immediately. I fought for that child from no one. Like, I have a whole story. I wrote a chapter in a book about it. It's a horrific story, yet it's such a beautiful story at the same time. Do you see the pain, suffering, and ostracism, and what it was put on me? Not only, as a young girl, but as given that seed to grow, right? To birth that, to throw the spark forward. And that spark's been thrown forward another 3 times because I have 3 grandchildren now. Right? And what that child does, she's an ICU nurse. She used to be a mental health nurse. Before that, she worked, when she was 16, she worked in an aged care facility, volunteered. That child is a carer. She saves lives now. She ends lives too. She works in ICU, she turns machines off. But she does it understanding the soul. And we've had deep conversations about it. That child needed to be in the world. Do you see? I know it's story, but can you feel it? Can you feel it? Sometimes the difficulty is the freaking blessing. When I was laying there and my nose was running and I was trying to do yoga and I was, drowning on my tears and my snot and all, you know what I mean? It's ugly face cry. I was deeply processing stuff. And at the same time, I was going, whoa, why isn't this moving it? Why isn't yoga moving it? It was. But I was not. I was allowing it to go deeper and deeper and deeper. I just let it go so that I could go deeper. Once I started going, oh, okay, I'm supposed to go here. It's all right. I can still do my yoga while I'm crying. It wasn't just tears. I was blubbering. It was, you understand, you've all been there. Ugly face cry, like just dribbling out of every orifice. I know I'm a drama queen, I have to, but it was. By the time I finished, I don't even know who I was. I was a whole nother person. It was the most beautiful experience, not I've ever had, but it was the most challenging and difficult, as well as beautiful and awe-inspiring experience that I've ever had. Not ever, maybe. I've had lots, so it's hard to judge or choose. What is that? That's what I'm saying. There is more light in the darkness. When you go deep, and I'll say this as a trauma therapist too, if you're really scared, if you have trauma, then have support to go there, right? All of us have trauma, but you know what I mean. There's degrees of, if you have complex trauma, that can be difficult. And I know that because, you know, I've had a very traumatic life. And it's probably why I went into working as a trauma therapist, right? The wounded healer type thing. I had to heal myself. And what I learn, I share. So, smell yourselves. So bizarre. I still love me. Um, you know, as a reminder that you're the love and the fear. You're the heaven and the hell. You're the light and the shadow. You're the mother and the father. You're the beauty and the ugly. Within the ugliness is such beauty. You know, as I say that, I see my grandfather. Before he died, I cast his hands. Some of you have seen the photos. He had Parkinson's, and he was worried because he was wobbling, you know, when I was casting him. But those hands are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. You can see every little hair, every crease, and then they're beautiful because I cast all my family, literally. I did a whole thing on DNA and hereditary and how we see ourselves in our bodies, like what parts of your hereditary, you know, your lineage are you, and you can see it in your hands, in your feet, your face, you know, your body, how you move, everything. So it was a whole big installation on that. But I went around the country because my family was spread out, and I cast everybody, even my little niece's hands. How old was she? I think she was 3. She's got these tiny little things. Anyway, so the point is that the older people's hands were more beautiful to me, and their faces. Yet you see where I'm going? It's like, what is beauty? What do we like? What do we don't like? What if we were just in the center of it all is? It just all is. Why do we need to? When my kids were growing up, I had all these little things to sort of teach them as they were younger, and they would say, I hate that. And I'd say, it's not my favorite. So it ended up, everything was, it's not my favorite, Mum. I'd be like, okay. Right. It just is. But they don't want that one, not because they hate it, because they would prefer this one. I prefer that one. It's not my favorite. I want that one. Okay. I hate that. I just want ice cream for dinner. Anyway, that's another story. That's what my youngest used to do. She still does. I don't like vegetable. I just want ice cream for dinner. And she'd go without. She just wouldn't eat anything else till she got ice cream. So she didn't get ice cream. I was one of those mums. I was like, as a tough mum in those ways. Anyway, all right. So where are we? What do we need to know? So we started off one-pointedness. Can you have a practice where you, if you know the core point, do that. If you can find a point on the wall, do that. But I do it in my head with almost, some of you might see stars or the night sky. So close your eyes for a minute. Let's see. Close your eyes. And just view whatever's there. And some of you, it'll just be like grayscale. Some of you would be like snow on the old TV screens, or like static. Pardon me. Some of you will be dark. I was going to say, how lucky if it's just dark. I haven't seen the dark. I can't remember the last time it was dark in my head. Anyway, it's like You know, once the light comes in, it's like it's never dark again. It's never silent, right? The light and sound go together. However, you might see color, you might be shape, it might be moving or whatever it is. But pick a point and eventually you will see points like the stars behind me. And a practice you could do is just choose one of those points, just one. Even on the screen, you could just look at one of those points, but you'll see them in your mind's eye. And you'll be able to hold it for a certain amount of time and then it'll disappear or go off to the side. Don't lose your focus, come back, choose another one and do it again. And it'll move. And it'll keep doing that for some of you, for those of you that are seeing points of light. Eventually, you'll see a massive point of light. And eventually, it won't move. And eventually, you'll be able to go through it. Or you may see it like that for years. And it's like you're just trying to go closer, go closer. How you go closer is to just be with that and not want it. It's almost like just being with it, having a relationship with it. When you can get your higher mind, you're like all the minds, all the brains working together, and the stillness of that, those lights and that movement and what you see when you close your eyes is an indication of where you're at. Not necessarily your development, because you can have off days where you're like, okay, it's a little bit harder today to hold, to keep all that information out, or well, not really out, because it's you. So it's really getting to a point where you can be with all of you and not one piece is pulling your attention, because that's all that's really happening. That's my language, my way of saying it. One piece will pull your attention, just like outside. If you've got numerous children or people around you, or even animals, there might be one dog that just wants the attention, or one cat or one bird or a tree and you might go, a tree? But trees talk to me. Like everything talks to me. The sky talks to me. I hear music in everything. It's so beautiful and bizarre at the same time. Actually, Eric was brushing his teeth with an electric toothbrush the other day, and I hear music in fans and what are they called? Like electrical appliances. I hear music. It's like sort of like some type of synesthesia or something, but it's my sensitivity. And when I'd put the fans on, because we've just got not ceiling fans, like, fans, there's one here. And, I'll just be in the kitchen or something, and I'll be like, where's that music coming from? And it could be opera, or it could be reggae, or it could be, like, it's all different music. It's like the white noise helps the tuning in, and I actually hear more, right? Some people put white noise on to go to sleep and things like that. That's why I rarely have music playing around me, very rare, because I hear so much in the field. There's so much beautiful music in the field. You got to know it. I mean, maybe you do. Sometimes I'll hear speaking, the whole conversations coming through the fans or through the electrical appliances. Again, am I mad, or is my antenna finely tuned, right? Who cares what the answer to that is? Personally, I've got an awesome life, so whatever. If this is mad, I'm up for it, right? It's what you're willing to accept. It's what you're willing to accept. I feel like I am completely lost the plot and so sane at the same time, just like love and fear. I'm all of it. I'm so mature and wise, yet I'm as silly, and the stupidity that comes out of my mouth sometimes. Yesterday in particular, I was like a 6-year-old. I was like cracking myself up, you know. Sometimes I'm just hilariously stupid for myself. Other people don't find me very funny, but you see, I'm all of it. So are you. But we tend to sort of grab onto pieces and say, I'm going to be this now. I'm going to be this now. I'm as serious and as in, you know, like you, Corporal Harrison, she's still there. I'm like, boom, 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 go, right? And then I'm that little 5, 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old that's making ridiculous jokes and just crying with laughter, you know, or making up songs. That was yesterday. I make up songs, just ridiculous songs, and you know, that's just, we're all of it. Integration. All right, so where are we at? What have you got from what I've said so far? What's a takeaway? What's something that you're like, oh, that was awesome, or that was, you know, you're the Mad Hatter or whatever, you know? Are you being poisoned by your hats? That's why he was mad, apparently. Did you know that? I do wear hats. I wear hats a lot. I wear hats every day. In fact, I didn't put one on, but yeah, I wear hats every day pretty much. So I could be the Mad Hatter. So where are you? Do we want to do a little circle, or are we good? What's the time? What time do we start? We've been going for an hour. What did we want to say today? So who's on Insta? What do you got to say? All right. So we start Sai next week. If you're inclined, contact me. Even if it's like, just, I want to talk with you. What just came in then was, do you know what a Hermes bag is? A Hermes, something like that. Am I pronouncing it? Is it Hermes Mercedes? Or Hermes? Anyway, they're top level, you know, you're paying for the name. It's like Chanel and all those, the status. And I was in the hot tub this morning after my practices and everything. And I'm like, you know what, this program, it's like a Hermes bag. Do you get what I'm saying? It's like it's not for everybody. But then I realized, oh, it's a status symbol. It's not about a status symbol. But you know what I'm saying? Like value. What do we value? Because I was like I just don't have value for stuff. It's just me, right? Um, yeah. The stuff that I value isn't like what I carry or wear or what. No, if you saw what I wear, like I'm just not into fashion and stuff. Don't even get my hair cut, right? There's no judgment if you do. It's not what I value. What I value is what I do and what I am. And so in that sense, I was like, that's where I put the value. That's where I put all of who I am and what I do and the wisdom and so because I was thinking, yeah, this particular program isn't necessarily for everybody. Yet it is. It's just that some people may not be ready to open to themselves in that particular way, you know. So the smell, you might be open to that today. There's more to that. There's so much more to that. I'm so excited about sharing that. But for now, it's just like these little ways of connecting with yourself, right? So if and when you're ready to really make those leaps and bounds, there is the human condition cannot will it. So if there's something that you want to reach, attain, really work towards, I would suggest a mentor or a coach. But for me, mentors are, I just like mentors. And I say that I'm a mentor, although I can coach. But a mentor is somebody who has mastered what they're teaching. They do what they teach. A coach can, like I could coach you on sports and all sorts of stuff. I've played also, I've done all sorts of stuff, but that's not my. So I could teach you about, rugby league or touch football or something like that. Yeah, I don't play it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I could coach you on it through a leadership or through those sorts of things. Mentorship is taking you through the steps of what that process is, how you went through it, what you could learn from it, right? So I am just big on the accountability, and if you want to reach something, having people around you that support that. And I guess the truth of the matter is, most of us don't have that. Most of us have people around us saying, you're mad, or, oh, why are you pushing so hard? Or, why don't you just have a day off? Or, right? There's rest times. I say that to myself. I said it the other day. I said, you can rest now. I say it to myself. I say, you can rest now. I'm telling myself it's okay to rest. Just stop for a moment, right? But if you're telling yourself that and you're a stopper, it's a different story. I'm not a stopper, right? I will keep going. So I got to go, it's okay to stop now. Go and have your lunch. Have my lunch. All right, now start again. All right, now you can stop, have a break, have a cup of tea, go and call somebody or do some posts or whatever. Then, right, go for a walk, go to the beach, right? You can stop now. It's okay for you to stop now. I'm my own, right? But most of you may need the opposite. Start now, keep going, you can do it, right? So, all right, we'll wrap it up on this. What I know to be true, and so I'm a Kundalini teacher, Kundalini yoga teacher, also, and how we help people to move through the fear is through that encouragement, right? So if I asked you to put your arms out, how long can you hold your arms out before your little voice tells you it hurts? Before your little voice says, why are you doing this? Before your little voice says, oh, I don't need to do this, or I can rest now. I can rest now. It hurts enough, I can rest now, right? So if I got you to put your arms out, you don't have to, but if I did, well, we might do this one day. Because it's a beautiful way to see where you stop. And for some of you that know when you, if there's a difference between a pain that's going to be an injury and a discomfort that you're used to shifting out of so you don't have to feel it. So I'm going back to when I felt stuff doing yoga, I didn't shift out of it. I shifted into it. When you shift into it and you use the breath and you don't go into the negative mind and then the positive mind, you're going into the neutral mind where it both exists. You know that if you just keep going, keep breathing, using your power, right, your connection to self, that you'll move through that discomfort. There's really just a niggle, but in your mind, your ego saying, holy moly, you're going to crack a rib or something, I don't know, right? Exaggeration, drama queen or king. So that you what? You stop. And then what? You don't reach your goal. Because what your mind tells you doing this is what your mind tells you in your life, in your steps. Okay, to get to the next step of my business, I need to show up. And you go, right, I'm going to show up. Whatever that means to you, I'm going to show up. Oh, but I feel uncomfortable. So, no, tomorrow. Or I need to speak to that person, or I need to, start dancing, or whatever it is. What is it that you want to do? And you feel it in your body because it's a fear. It's a fear. The pain you feel here is a fear. And the pain you feel in your body when you're going to go to do something different that you really want to do and you're a bit shaky, that's a fear. And it gets uncomfortable, so you go, oh, I'll do it another day. Or make up some other, right? What prevents you from getting and doing and being and allowing your soul to experience what it needs to experience? It can only do it through your physical body. I did ballet, started ballet when I was 50. I was petrified. And I was like, all right, in my 50th year, I did everything that I wanted to do. It was like a bucket list, but I did it like all year. Some of you know these stories, but the ballet one was really profound because my soul cried. She just cried. I feel it when I'm talking about it. She's still like, my soul wanted to dance. Both my girls were dancers. My youngest was taught ballet. She was a choreographer and all sorts of stuff, right? My youngest is right into it. Why? Because I wanted to dance so much. But I was scared, right? I was scared. And then I got older and I was like, older people don't do ballet and I can't speak French and will I be able to do it? Blah, blah, blah. I don't have the costume. I don't have the shoes, right? All of that. So I told people what I was going to do. And then my daughter gave me the classes for Christmas. Not at any old class, at the Western Australian Academy of Dance, where the Western Australian Ballet practice. So they were all there. And here's me, 50-year-old me, rocking up to learn how to point my toes and do it. Oh, it was awesome. It was so freaking awesome. I was so scared. I could have missed that in my life. And then I did it for a while and then COVID hit and that's why I stopped. Who knows, I might do it again one day. But the point was I just wanted to do it. And I got to the point where they teach you all on the bar and all that, and then they move the bars and you go into the middle of the room and they put the music on, and when they put the music on, it's like this classical music. And then you dance to the, I just cried. I danced while I was crying. My soul cried with joy, with bliss. It was like Ananda, right? I can't express it. It's just so beautiful. To this day, it was one of the best things in my life that I experienced. My soul experienced. It wasn't about me, little me. What does your soul want to experience? Yes, Rebel says Hawaiian style. One of my desires uh, is to do some of the cultural stuff here, the dancing, whatnot. I've done belly dancing, but I have a connection to, anyway. So that my soul still wants to experience, and so it's about giving her. Oh, ballet Hawaiian style. I went to a ballet here. It was contemporary, and it was the Hawaiian. What's it called? A Hawaiian ballet. They were Hawaiian anyway, and it was so awesome because it wasn't. It was contemporary Hawaiian. There was a lot of traditional movements that sort of remind me of New Zealand and the Maori, because I'm from Australia, so I have there's a lot of connection to New Zealand there. It was beautiful in how they went through the stages, anyway, of the human emotions through dance and light and sound and movement. It was beautiful. Back to you. Is there something that you want to do, experience, that you feel it come up, and it's like it's beyond you. It's like there's something deep inside of you that you just have longed to experience. Do you have something? Or have you pushed it away? Your soul is here to experience. And when you connect to your soul, it's like this co-creation or this collaboration in life. And if you're not on board, then she or he can't experience, right? So there it becomes this it's almost like this discomfort in the body. I don't know if any of you have felt that, but it's like you're at war with yourself almost. It's like there's this, you're like, no, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. I'm going to invite you to contemplate that, and not do it as such, and contemplate, like have one thing and then contemplate the possibility of being able to experience that, right? Even a little bit. I wasn't going to become a ballet dancer. It was something my soul desired to experience. I wouldn't mind tap dancing too. I've done a little bit of tap dance, but there's something about the tap dance. My sister started tap dancing around the same time. She got the tap shoes, everything. And when I was at her house, it was in 2018 or 2019, before everything shut down. I went to visit her, and she got her board out. It's like a board you put on the floor. She put her tap shoes on, and I couldn't stop laughing because there was so much joy. It was like I was watching this little girl tap dancing. It's like there's a part of us that needs to do this stuff, and it's our soul. Like, just enjoy. And I wasn't laughing at her. I was laughing in joy. Do you know, like that giggling in joy? Like, hopefully you've experienced that giggle in joy. Like, it's just like a little child laughing in joy. And I had to tell her, I'm not laughing at you. It's just watching you do that is so joyful. Like, there's so much joy. Anyway, so I guess today is about waking up, being distracted by all this noise in the field, and going, what if you could get to have your instrument, your antenna, which is who you are, what you are, a little bit more refined today, and see what's there that wants to experience that, and at the same time know that there's going to be the fear. Do you want to move to the next level? Right? Do you want to move to the next level where you understand that the joy and the fear, the love and the fear is just that? It can't hurt you. It's just an experience in the nervous system. What hurts you is when you spiral into one of them. The purity of love and the purity of fear just is. There's no, it just is. Refining my antenna there. It just is. A beautiful way to refine the antenna is knowing there's the fear and being okay with it. When I say be okay with it, allow yourself to feel it and be uncomfortable and cry if you need to, and be like, there's some fear here, that's interesting. Be curious about it, allow it. You don't necessarily have to get yourself out of it. Don't make yourself feel better. The way to make yourself feel better is to acknowledge that and go, I love you, fear. Thank you for showing yourself. I was wondering when you were going to come back around. I won't. I was going to say, I've missed you, but maybe you're not there yet. But right? I've missed you, my friend. That fear is a part of you. It just is. It just is. It's part of the nervous system. So if you want to cut part of your nervous system out, go right ahead. But I don't know how you're going to be in this world with that. I don't know whether you die or not. But right? It's both. Accept both. Accept your fear as much as you accept the love. That could be what's stopping you. Some of you, you have both. But some of you, your fear of love will be stronger than your fear of fear. Some of you, if you've grown up anything like me, we're good with pain and suffering. We're good because that was our life, right? All sorts of stuff. What was difficult for me was the love, right? Like real love, true love, purity of love. You love people, right? But it's not even really, it's not true. And that's why I went through these years of not even saying it because it just was a lie. It was just, people just say, I love you, I love you, I love you. They don't, it's not love. They might as well have said, tortoise or whatever, any word, bread. I bred you, I fan you, I cauliflower you, whatever, right? It's meaningless. It's just meaningless. And I went through this whole phase of it. It just started to annoy me because that was my fear. So it was around love. And then it projected into how other people loved or didn't love, all of that sort of stuff. So being able to connect deeply with a greater aspect of myself, I needed to learn how to love me. Like me. Be kind to me. Be generous to me. Speak to myself as my lover. When I started to open, when Kundalini started, when my activation started, when all that happened, and then higher aspects of myself, I had to interrelate. I had to relate again as my beloved, right? And then as I opened again, more came in, until I could have that direct access to, in love, in purity of unconditional love, without the fear, without pushing away. So you'd open up and then go, holy moly, and then close off again, which, you know, I did for many years on and off. I would open up, expand so hugely that it frightened me, so I'd close back down. You know, it was this, which is fine. If that's what you're doing, it's fine. Just know there's processes. That is a process, but there's ways of assisting you to integrate as you're opening. So what happens is you open. I was talking about this yesterday too, about heart awakening. I was telling Eric about two big ones, but one in particular. I was in France, and it was at the feet of the Black Madonna, one of the Black Madonnas, but it wasn't the ones most of you know. It was the Lady of Deliverance, Le Bon Deliverance, was the little chapel, and I was actually with Shiloh, Sophia, and we were knelt at her feet, and we both just started crying, just tears, and you know, had that experience. I won't go into detail, but as I was walking down the back of the church, there was hardly anyone in there. It was just our little group, me and two of my good friends, and Jonathan, Shiloh's husband. And we walked to the back of the church, and they were signing the book. And this emotion just came, because I had received, there was a transmission, right? I had received so much love in that moment that then my little human started to wobble as I got to the back of the church. But I understood it. So this is why I tell you my stories, right? Because or maybe you've already been through stuff like this, you'll be able to go, oh, it's okay. Because all this stuff came up. It's like there's different levels of heart awakening, right? And I can tell you a story for all of them. But this one in particular, it wasn't the biggest, but it was one of the big ones. And so much was coming that I needed nature. And the people around me were worried. And I said, no, I'm good. Like, through my sobbing, I just needed to get to nature so that I could integrate. I didn't want it all to just crack out of me. I needed to be okay with what was happening, with holding my arms out here for an hour, so to speak, right? That discomfort, and integrate it. So I walked out, and Jonathan came over and he's like, do you need anything? I'm like, no, I'm good. I knew what I needed. I was clear. I knew what was happening. I knew what I needed. I directed people around me. I'm good. Like, just because I'm crying, I'm good. Leant on the tree, breathed, and like I could write a book just on that one little trip. I mean, I also lost a lot of money on that trip. I dropped it somewhere. But what I got, it's almost like there is this payment. Do you know what I mean? And I think it dropped in the cab when we got to that church. And I got out, right? So that was my payment. Would I have paid that again? It was something like I think it was about $500 or €500. It was a lot of money, right? I had it rolled up, because I don't even have a wallet. I have it rolled up in this little purse, and as I pulled out some money, it probably fell out, because I can't think where else it would have gone. And I had no money for the rest of that trip. That was my whole, like, I can't remember exactly why I got it all. I think I had to pay for the place we were staying at. Like, it had been paid for, you know, all of that sort of stuff. So I had no money for food, for nothing. So, but I had these most magnificent spiritual activations, right? they were just one after the other, and my good mate Lauren was with me for a lot of them and witnessed them, and was walking beside me, and she's been around for a lot of them, but that one in particular. So what's my story here? The discomfort, the discomfort. When it comes up, it's making space. When it comes up, it needs to come up to be seen, so that you can choose that or let it go back in and transmute into the light, right? It's like all of my suffering is now the wisdom. It's like I can't even say if there's anything left that there could be, and I guess I won't know until other stuff happens, right? But processing. So do it along the way every day, right? Practice. Refine. Look for ways in your everyday to bring it in, because the alternative is that, at some time in your life, it's all just going to come up. And it'll come up in illness, in accident, in relationship break, all sorts of stuff. Because it's repressed. It suppresses the nervous system, and that creates illness. So the only way that you're going to listen to that is if you have kindness, you have a liking for yourself. Because if you don't, you're not going to care if you get that. You're not going to care if something happens to you. And I don't know if you don't care about yourself, whether you really care about anybody else. I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but how can that be? I mean, how could that be? I'm not sure how that could be. I'm open to being wrong. And part of me hopes that I'm incorrect, because people generally don't like themselves. Why we consume things that are going to over time kill us. Why we do things that are not great for us. Like my walk yesterday, I was like, am I going to make it back? Why did I do this? Well, I know why I did it. And I knew I could do it. Like it was fine. It was just my mind going, it hurts. It hurt, right? And if I could have stopped, I would have. But I was so far out, in the never. Ugh. But I made it, and I was fine. I felt awesome afterwards. So you see what I'm saying? But how you treat yourself. So I'm gonna wrap it up, because I'm waffling on now. There's a bunch of little things in there. They all relate, but choose whatever, one or two bits to contemplate. Just see what it is for you. It might be you think everything I said is a load of crock, and that's fine. Or there might be one piece that you start to contemplate and look at, and maybe even go into and see what comes out of it, which could shift the trajectory of what's going on for you, right? That's the potential of it. Like, what would it be if you, so for those, I'm talking to those that may be a little hard on yourselves, what would life be like if you were more gentle with yourself? So those of you that, will really push in some areas that, I mean, like, what's the fear underneath the pushing? I guess is what I'm saying. What's the fear underneath it? What's creating the doing? Because everything we do is from a fear, pretty much. I mean, a fear of love or a fear of fear. If we don't do this, they're not going to like us, love us. If we do this, they're not going to like us, love us. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. So do it anyway. Who cares? I show up. You know what? I laughed this morning because Eric was going to work, and I said, you know, I show up and there might be one person, and I said, but there might be 50 or 100 or 1,000. You know what I mean? But it didn't matter. It didn't matter. It doesn't matter to me anymore, right? It doesn't matter to me anymore. I show up and I do what I'm told to do. I know that I'm here to do. It didn't turn out as a circle in grace, but hey, it is what it is. So just let me know in the chat, did you turn up for circle, or did you turn up, you didn't know why you turned up? And some of you that are on Instagram, like, why are you here? Here on this live, not here in life. What is the meaning of life? Do you know? Or you're bored. What should you be doing that you're not doing? You're listening to me instead. Is there something that you should be doing, somewhere you should be? Or is this where you need to be? Is there something here today? I would really love to know from people. So if you hear this on the recording, or if you hear live, I'm at the point that I would like to hear more of what you're needing, what you're wanting, or what you think you might want, so that I can serve you, right? I can show up and tell story and share, you know, like I did today. That's just me chatting. Oh, okay. Well, you got what you needed then. You just came to listen. Awesome. My computer and internet were not cooperating, so I was beginning to think that perhaps I was not meant to be here. Is it cooperating now? Is it good now? Yes, you're here. Okay, awesome. Yeah. Because often, it's 11:11, often who shows up, I was going to say inadvertently, I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it's like who shows up tends to steer what I talk about. It's just what I've noticed. And I do pay attention to who I can see and who's here, and what the key points are that come out, and I'll be like, so I feel that even though we didn't do circle as such, we did because of the intention. Yeah. Oh, look, circle is purely the container, and I do circle every day, regardless. So it will be done. It may not be in the way. So I mean, place, if you do have people that you want, you know, prayer or grace for, pop them in the chat, put the intention there, and when I do it, they're in there. They're here anyway. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. But let me know. Some people are just watching, that's fine. So just a heads up, Tuesdays won't, I have to readjust my days. I'll continue on Thursdays for now. Tuesdays I won't, because the program starts next week and it's on a Tuesday. So but there will be other things in the mix as we go along. Like, things are sort of starting again, but in a different way, because, you know, we're doing all this work and building the academy, and, you know, and all that work's still there, and it'll be rolled out in the future. However, how I always work is intuitively, and I listen, and when I'm shown the direction, I follow. But where we were going, and we could have kept building and building and building intuitive studies, right? It just kept going and going and going and going. But the core of the work is what I'm going into now. It's the core. It's conscious evolution, and it's awakening and ascension. It's it's basically what every human being is going through now. Intuitive studies is fun and gives you abilities. But like I said, I woke up seeing and experiencing a lot. And to me, that's a distraction. So the goal with intuitive studies was to show that every human has the ability. And I proved that. I showed that. I have the stats on that. Everybody who came in was able to access their dormant sensory system. Okay. That'll be rolled out again. But my priority right now is beyond the distraction. Okay. So we can have the distraction, but all of that happens naturally when you're on that path. You naturally open up and have all the abilities, right? Mediumship, trance. Well, not everybody can do the physical mediumship stuff, but all of that just opens up. The telepathy, viewing, being a seer, healing, all of it. The strength. I was talking about that the other day too. That as your system starts to shift, you get this immense physical strength. These are all what we would call the siddhi powers, from the siddhas. So the holy Indian men were called siddhas, and they would have siddhi powers. And these are all the things that open up, right? But they're what I've called along the way to keep me focused is they're the view out the window of the train or the bus or the vehicle, right? They're the view out the windows, all this beautiful scenery and stuff going on. But it's right. So you can go to one or the other and, you know, help people. And I'm not saying it's not a way of healing and assisting, but ultimately people heal themselves, and we facilitate that. I'm not a healer. I never have been. I never will be. Right? We facilitate the container for those that are ready to receive. That's all it is. If you're not ready to receive, you won't. If you hate yourself that much, you won't receive. And I always remember that story about Jesus and the leper, right? Do you believe? Do you believe? Well, you'll be shown on the other side, right? It's okay. Just is. Death is the doorway. We fear it. But there's a whole nother world. So are we going to choose a relationship with ourselves, let's just say our physical, today, we're going to go through today with a relationship with our physical, we're going to love it, or maybe we won't even love it, we're going to like it. We're going to find something about ourselves that we like, and we're going to complement that, we're going to support that, and we're going to see then, okay, if I can get to that, or just sniff. Okay, I still don't like the smell. All right, later on have a sniff. Do you know you can do that with other people too? I wasn't going to say that because you'd all be sniffing each other, but you can even do it through Zoom. Because the energetic bodies, we're not limited to this physical. But I don't want to teach publicly that before I teach it in the program. So you'll have to wait. All right. My battery's running flat on my phone, so I'm going to wrap it up. So I see the names for circle. Just pop them in the chat. I do circle all the time. Like I can do it at any moment, anytime. So can you. So don't worry that we didn't do it formally or in a particular way, because we're just building energy. We're being curious, and we're shifting, and that thinking and that questioning is a receptivity. And just allow what you need to come in, right? Just allow it. Hamish, my Labrador, is 15. 15 and 3 months now, and still going. Yeah. Oh, Hamish. I love that name, Hamish, too. Yeah. It's tough when they get older, I know. And it comes to a point where, even with my grandmother, who's 98, it's her birthday next month, she's still going, people. She's still going. It's like, right? And it gets to a point where do you it's like you don't want them to keep going. If you know what I mean, it's like it comes to that sticky place where it's like, so we just be that love, and whatever needs to happen, whether they go on or they stay, may be their choice. Like what needs to happen for them is, once we start grasping or seeing them in suffering, which I know with my Great Dane, he was 11, and he had a lot of stuff going on, and it was like, you just want him to go. You want him to go, to be out of pain. But he wasn't ready. And I ask him every day, is today? You going to go today? You going to stay a bit longer? And I always put my forehead to forehead. And I talk to him through pictures. Always have, right? Because all my animals lived very long lives, and then they get to that real long life where their body starts to break down. You're going to go, yeah, Rebel's saying, I hope he leaves with ease and grace. Or she says, it's just being in ease and grace wherever they are, isn't it? It's like whatever needs to happen for you. And that's what, when we do sitting in circle, it's like whatever needs to happen, may it be for that person. May it come with ease and grace. May it come gently. May it come, right? So if I'm going to go, if I feel like I'm going to go, may I go in my sleep, right? May I just not wake up? Like, would that be, my great grandmother died that way. They say of a broken heart. Yeah, she died in her sleep, broken heart. It was like, oh, what a blessing. A blessing, don't you think? I mean, not the broken heart bit, but that you just don't wake up. You just go to bed, don't wake up. But that is death in a way, isn't it? It's just those of you that have done death and rebirthing meditations. So we get a little glimpse of that. All right, let's wrap it up. I'll just keep talking to you all day. I've got things to do, places to be, programs to create, refine. They're created. I'm refining. I was so excited last night refining vision number 1. So our first class on Tuesday. So again, are you coming? We've still got some places. I think we've got three places. 3 places. If you're really called and you don't know how on earth you're going to do it, call me, message me, we'll see what we can work out. We've still got a percentage off too, so I didn't put an email out because I was doing other things, but I'll put an email out. But message me if you're called. The other thing is, there may be other programs coming or ways of working. Let me know what you want. Let me know what do you want trance again? Do you want ISP again? Like, what are you wanting? Do you want Evolver again? There is stuff coming up down the track. But what do you want me to talk about here? What do you want to know about? How do you want to utilize this? Do you want it purely as a circle in grace? Do you want a teaching? What sorts of teachings do you want? Do you want experiences? What do you want? If I'm going to show up, might as well show up with what you want. Usually I get sort of directed, but, you know, my little person likes to know too. All right. Much love to you all. Have an awesome day, evening, sleep, morning, whatever it is for you. And I shall see you. What day is it? Tuesday. I'll see you Thursday. See you Thursday. What do you want to know Thursday? What are we doing Thursday? Maybe we'll do grace first. We'll do grace because Tuesday's supposed to be only grace, but that's not what happened. All right. We'll do grace Thursday morning. Thursday afternoon first. And then if there's things that you've got questions about, let me know or bring your questions. I'm really drawn lately to those of you that are going through awakening and ascension stuff or weird stuff. There's just strange stuff happening with your body, your mind, what you're seeing and all that sort of stuff. That can be really frightening for people. So, you know, if you've got things that, or just message me, email me, and then I can answer it anonymously. Because sometimes you might be a bit like you don't want to put it out there to be, you know. So, but there is nothing that I have heard ever that I've gone, oh my God. I'll be like, oh yeah, you bet your life on it. I'll be like, yep, and that's this, and yep, and this is what's to come, and da-da-da-da, right? Because that's what I used to do. That's all I did was conscious evolution, and people would tell me their experiences and think they were so far out. And I'd be like, oh no, that's, you know, and this is what happens when this happens, and this is what you experience. And it may freak you out. But once you sort of get an idea that, oh, other people experience that too, it's not so weird and wonderful. It actually is. Of course you're experiencing that because you're evolving as a human. And sometimes you see that and experience that or whatever. I share my story so that you can see some of that and go, ah. I'll finish on one story, right? Because it came up yesterday in all of this sort of talk about remembering. So I remember when I was in France again, and I was painting in front of a different Black Madonna, the one of Chartres Cathedral, the one that burned down, okay? And it was the Black Madonna that they had painted white, given blonde hair, blue eyes, and were devastated. But anyway, I stood in front of her for 5 hours painting. And the activations from that, and I was watching everybody praying, and I could feel it, and it was like so much. It's like sitting at, you know, your spiritual teacher's feet for 5 hours. And the amount And what happened was, when I was leaving, I had pain in my kidneys or my back. And it was so much pain that if I hadn't known better, I would have gone to hospital, right? So if you don't know, always check. I always say, go, right? But I use my intuition, and I understood what was happening, because I'd been activating. This was like a period of my life where I was fully just activating. And I walked out, and my kidneys were, I was in so much pain, and we were going out for dinner that night, and there was a bunch of us, and we were all sort of painting in different parts of the cathedral. There was another one of my friends who was painting in front as well, but she didn't stay as long. And we went out to dinner. I was in so much pain. I couldn't take my hands off. I just warned him. I said, look, you're going to see me in pain. So I'm doing what I told you. I'm accepting my pain. I was like, okay, I'm activated. There's a particular energy that's happening right now. And this is what's happening. I had pain in my lower back, my kidneys. But what came from that, or before that, is that one of my spiritual teachers told me a story, and I remembered her story. And this is why I tell you stories, because it's happened a few times where things have happened and I've gone, oh, I remember that this person had something similar. It wasn't the same, but there was such a similarity that I could extrapolate that and go, that's what's happening. And she had kidney pain. She was walking up Mount Shasta long time ago. And she was a very advanced energy worker and all the rest of it, and spiritual teacher. And she couldn't get rid of it. She was with her daughter. And kept walking, just had her hand on. She just had one side. I had both sides. And this man came down from the other side, and he walked up to her, and he touched her, and the pain just went away. And he just kept walking. It was like this, I don't know, miracle or something. Anyway, mine went on, it disappeared and all the rest of it. But the point of the story, because it's a long and enthralling story, really, but the point is that I understood at that point in my journey what was happening, and that was one of the symptoms, or one of the things that can happen, right? It doesn't so much these days, right? But this was a long time ago. And like all the physical ailments and things that happen, that we experienced, and our teachers and their teachers experienced, right, doesn't necessarily happen so much now, because there's so many of us that have it's like the 100 monkeys thing, the energy, everybody's sort of rising. So the energy that you're able to receive now is much more than you were 10 years ago. There's energy protocols that even 5 years ago I couldn't have done on people straight up. I would have had to build, do these other, we build people up. We do lower energy, build it up. Nowadays, I can go, skip all these levels and just go in, and people can handle it, right? That's where humanity is, okay? But the really higher ones still, I very rarely do them, because there's not that many containers that can hold that much charge, So what am I saying? You may not go through all of that, so I don't want to freak you out. However, if you do, you might remember that story. Or some of you have heard my death alchemy stories, right? And how when you're going into a death alchemy, and how, so rather than spinning out about it and freaking out about it, you can go, oh, Cynthia said something about this. All right. Okay. Right? If you're really worried, go to the doctor. One more story about heart activation. I met a lady. She was a yoga teacher, Canadian. I met her in America, and I was in Australia, and she called me. So we did like a painting workshop, and she learned about me and what I was doing and all the rest of it. So when she had all this weird stuff happening, she called me. She connected with me from Canada, and she said, "This is what's happening. What do you think?" And I said, first of all, I said, have you seen a doctor? She said, "I'm sitting in the hospital now." I said, "Good. All right, that out of the way. This is what it is." And the doctors found nothing, because it was to do with her heart awakening, was energetic. But because she had remembered a story that I had told her about an aspect of the heart awakening, when she was in it and frightened, she could reach out and tell me a story that everybody else would be like, "You're an idiot," right? And I'd be like, "Oh, beautiful, yes. And this is this, and this." So we've covered the medical stuff, right? You're at the doctor's, or she was at a hospital. But she also connected with me to make sure that what she felt, what she thought, what she remembered. And I said, yes, and expect these things to happen, because this is the whole process, right? So I'll give you a few little steps ahead. And sometimes in teachings, in classes, I'll do that too, because I'll see that one or two of you are either in it or about to go into it. So I'll drop little bits so that when you do, and that's what's happened all over the years, and then people will message me and say, "You spoke about this in class. I just went through that." And I said, "Yep," because I knew. Okay, because it's energetic. You can see where people are at. Like, you can scan where they're at, like where they're activated to, what they're going into next, right? Awakening and ascension. It's not all this woo-woo out there stuff. It's like the magnetics of the field of your physical body, and where that's moved to, what's fully activated, blah blah blah. So if you have any questions about any of that, bring them on Thursday. We'll do a circling grace, and whatever else comes up. Let me just see. I think there's, what's going on here? Request to join. What's that about, Deb? Request to join. I don't know what that is. But nice to see you. This is on the Instagram, and there's a few other people. All right. So we'll wrap up now before my battery completely goes. So I'll see you on Thursday. And those of you that want to join us in our next intake, we start next week. However, it will be recorded, so if you can't do the first bit, I will catch you up. And it is hailing here. I can't hear. Well, just feel, Deb, feel. What was I saying? And if, for instance, you're in a different time zone, so this came up, I was going to do an email on this, but I'll just say it out loud. If you're in a different time zone and you're asleep when we're in training, there are ways that I can work that for you. It may not be, so you may do the recordings for some of it, and then I would connect with you to do the bits that are to give you your in person. So if, for instance, you're over, it's 2 or 3 a.m. in the morning and you think, I can't go to that, I wouldn't usually do this, but the way the program is, and it's only a small intake, right? The way that it is, I can do that. I couldn't do it for like 30, I couldn't have done it for ISP or one of those big programs, right? For the smaller, more precise sort of mentoring and coaching and working towards a goal and doing the activations and whatnot, you can do it that way. And I will connect with you to answer questions or go over anything that may need to be done in person. But all of it is, so you could do the vision, go through that, and the theory in replay, and do the mentoring. at a time that suits us. Okay. All right. I'm going to leave it at that. Much love. Mwah. May the blessings be. And be the love. Are it into the frequency, into the world, into the universe. Okay. Ciao, ciao.